Hi guys, and welcome back to the show. Today we are taking a quick break from the table saw build because I really need a fence for my existing saw. So let's not waste any more time and get right down to it. I got these parts of some office furniture that was being thrown away. I'm going to try to use this rail here, and this part goes on like this. It's held into place with this carriage bolt and this nut here. The plan is to try to make some kind of a fence with this. So I'll try to fix this rail here, and I hope that that will at least give me a little bit of a movable fence.
I drilled screw holes with my drill press, and the idea is to make a second hole for the head of the screw. These are the screws I plan to fix the rail to the workbench with.
So this one was 8mm in the head, and I think I'll drill with a 10mm drill bit then.
I clamped the rail to the workbench with my homemade 3D printed clamps, and you'll see me using these a lot in this video. I'm going to fix a board to the slider, but there is a part protruding from the slider, so I need to make allowance for that. So I mounted a sacrificial piece to my miter saw, and then I cut out a dado in the board. And I also cut the board to length. I'll be fixing the board to the slider like this, so I need to drill some more holes in the slider. I fixed the board to the slider off camera with machine screws, but I wanted some more rigidity, so I also added some short flathead wood screws from the underside. After fixing the board to the slider, there was still a 2.5mm gap between the board and the top of the bench. So I designed a simple packer in Tinkercad and printed it out on my Ender 3 3D printer.
Now I'm taking some 5-minute epoxy and gluing this homemade 3D printed packer. I'm going to glue it to this part here.
I squeezed out equal amounts of epoxy and hardener and mixed it well before spreading it all over the board.
I am a nomad's project.
After waiting 5 minutes, I could check the leftover epoxy to see if it was dry. This is a trick I learned by Millard, and you'll find a link to his channel in the video description.
I plan to use this here part like so, there, more or less. So this here is also a part of an IKEA shelf, and I will use it as a sideways support for the fence. And then I'll rip down a different part from an IKEA shelf and put that here.
The machine screws were protruding above the 3D printed packer, so I needed to make allowance for that in the sideways support of the fence. I removed the rail and checked it against the straight edge, and then I moved it a little bit sideways. This is to give the fence more range. And as you can see, I'm putting the fence on the left side. This is because I am left-handed. It was a bit fiddly to get the slider to be parallel with the top of the workbench, but using some shims I got there in the end. I fixed the sideways support with a machine screw to the slider. That way I can adjust the angle of the sideways support when trying to get the fence square with the blade. You'll see in the upcoming time-lapse that it was a bit fiddly to get the sideways support square with the blade. One of the problems is that the sideways support can't touch the blade, because then the blade will move. So I need to make the adjustment with a little bit of a gap between the sideways support and the blade. After adding some more clamps to the sideways support, I made one final check before fixing the sideways support to the slider. I used an IKEA shelf as a straight edge and clamped it to the workbench. I used this to make a reference line, but in hindsight I should have done this on the other side of the blade, because this didn't account for the curve of the blade. The fence itself will be made from this IKEA shelf. I covered the cut line with some painter's tape to prevent blowout. This is a trick I learned from Tony at Slow and Expensive. He's got a really nice woodworking channel, and I'll link to his channel in the video description. I don't remember the exact measurement. I think it was 11.8 centimeters. But you can hear from my laughter that I'm happy with the cut and that it was straight. Again, that's it for today, guys. This will be a two-part video, so stay tuned for the next one. If this is your first visit to my channel, please consider subscribing. Leave a thumbs up if you liked the video. I'll get back to you guys on any comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.